Hi guys, this is Robert Rivera with Trend Trading Academy, and this is weekly recap number 62. I think the numbers may be off, so I'll have to check that out. But I wanted to take a minute right quick and share with you again on zones, the importance of zones. I want to show you here. This is Jay's setup, and I just want to show you how different his setup was from my setup on GJ. Okay, his numbers, if you look over here on the right, are different than my numbers. Okay, I think might have been because of when he drew his zones and when I drew my zones. But I just want to show you how cleanly it broke and retested on his setup, which are different numbers than mine, and how mine broke and retested on different numbers again. So you can have a different ideas on how to draw the setups. But as you are drawing your zones correctly, you are going to get retest. And that's really what I want to emphasize, because catching the breakout is difficult. It's difficult to know when it is going to break out, right? I mean, this was a breakout, return into the zone, and then this was a long candle that is difficult to take as it is coming down, because it's already long and you don't know if it's going to bounce from the zone and go up. This is just difficult to time. But the retest is much easier to time, because obviously price has to return here, and then your parameters for getting in or out of the trade are real close. Anything that closes above, you're out, or a number of pips. Like in my case, again, I got this whole zone right here is 7 pips. So maybe another 7 pips above it if I have to. I mean, that's just being generous with it. It should not come back inside. And you see how it broke down to the bottom. Let's go ahead and do the setups for the week. I don't know which setup this was this week. Oh, I know why. He sent GJ and I sent something else, but I did set up GJ on my own. And I just wanted to point out how the numbers were different. Okay, let's go to the trades of the week. This was the first trade of the week. This actually, let me see, where was I? Is this true? Let me make sure. Yes. There were news that day. I didn't have time to, well, I didn't want to send a setup on the middle of news, but I did want to point out the fact that we had a supply area that could easily reject. So this is not an official setup. I sent this to the community. But again, pretty good trade idea. And these are the results on it. You know, beautiful retest of the supply and dropped immediately for 38 pips supply rejection. That was just an easy win. I believe, if I counted correctly, that the stop loss was something like 8 pips. I think that was 8 pips right here. You know, stop loss above it would have been about 8 pips. So that's just sweet and easy. Okay, now let me see. This also was not an official setup. For the same reason, there was news related that night. And but I did, again, we have a beautiful confluence here of a golden zone wrapped up inside of a supply area. This is the 30-minute. I think the supply was based on the 1 hour, which is pretty strong. Okay, and then we have a demand here based on the 30-minute. Either one could play out. Let's see what happened. So it broke down to the bottom and didn't quite make it down there. It was a fake out, came back inside. I didn't even count the fake out from here. I just simply played it from the top. And it's a breakout which rejected at supply beautifully, and then came back and retested and went back up for 24 pips break with retest zero drawdown. Now, I would say it's kind of tricky it would have been kind of tricky to catch the retest, because it was coming from supply, but it still did it, didn't it? I mean, it still paid. It came, dropped, bounced, and went back up. But the better play, I think, would have been to play it off of supply up here and take the sell down. Pick your pick. It was either way, it's about 25 pips. Okay. Go to the next setup. This is an official setup on the 21st. Very nice trend line, very clean trend line, very nice zone here where price is trapped. And we take notice of the fact that price is in the golden zone. This actually makes it easier to trade, because you can see how I reject it and reject it. So if it breaks out, it should bounce and move up. Or again, if it breaks down below the trend line, you could catch a sale. And this is what we ended up with. We have a nice little fake out going on over here before it made its move up, broke out, came back and retested, and on the retest and only paid 16 pips. Still considered a win given the fact that the entire zone is only 5 pips. This is actually like almost 3-to-1 win on those 16 pips, but the breakout did give 42 pips if somebody was on the breakout. Okay, this is the next day or the 24th. Again, we take notice that this is the 15-minute supply. This is so that's why this doesn't quite match here with the scenario, because this is the 30-minute and the setup is on the 15-minute, the supply. But we take notice of this action here, how price has been stuck in here. I do want to point your attention to this in just a minute. Let's go see the results. So these are the results. It broke down to the bottom first, came back for a retest, dropped again for 39 pips, and then it went up above, broke above, rejected at supply, and dropped again. This also retested successfully and went back up. But again, counting on the fact that we're going to most likely take that supply coming down, I didn't count the retest. What I want to point out about this setup is how it consolidated here, consolidated here, consolidated here. And I went ahead and marked this up. This is after the fact, right? Because the setup, if you remember, was here. And I thought that maybe it will go up and consolidate some more in here. But in fact, it just kept consolidating down here. So the moment that I noticed that it kept consolidating down here, I went ahead and drew another zone there. And look at it. It broke above the zone, came back, retested it, and took off again. So that could have been an early entry here. Since price consolidating here, it told you that once it broke above it, it was going to keep going up. So again, multiple opportunities for this trade setup. This was, I believe, last night. And then I think this is the final setup, EA. EA was a little disappointing because we do have this beautiful head and shoulders going on here. But this is what we ended up with. I mean, it's beyond that now. Let me go ahead and open it so you can see it. This is what it ended up doing. Eventually, it did break down below. With a retest, it didn't quite touch the zone and drop below from this head and shoulder action here. But in the middle of the night, that was late. Like this didn't move. Like this move right here is 8:30. So basically, London had no breakout. London had no breakout whatsoever. But again, just to keep things honest, let's go ahead and analyze it as if we were playing on this zone as it is. And so what we ended up with was a 19 pip breakout with an 11 pip retest, which basically to me, that's an L. That's what I put there. That's an L because it's not enough of a retest. Okay. And then you have a fake out going on here so that when price closes back up inside, you can take that to the upside for 32 pips. Okay. So what we have here in total for the week is 7 wins, 1 loss with 30 pip drawdown. The total wins gave 209 pips. The loss gave an 11 pip loss, and drawdowns were about 30. We had a whole, I mean, I would think a lot more drawdown than usual. And that's because I think one of the setups was like a 25 pip stop loss or something like that. And I think it went up 18 or 19 before it returned and came back down. I don't have an analysis for the rest of the week this week. I guess I could do them real quick, but I wasn't ready for it. Let's go do something here real quick. Let's see. EA, do we want to do EA? Let's go ahead and do GU. Let's go ahead and do GU. Let's eliminate all of this real quick. Okay, and let's go to the day, to the weekly. Let's go to the weekly. We need to see it on a higher time frame so we can see what's going on the high time frame. So as you can tell, this has been pushing up and up and up, but it's run into major resistance here. Okay, if this fails to close higher, I got me a feeling that this is going to be the beginning of a drop for GJ starting next week. It needs to gather some impulse, although again, we do have maybe some news coming. That's the 20th, though. That's already the 27th. We have some news coming that maybe could help push that to the upside. But as of right now, that looks to me like sales are coming in the coming week for GJ. Let's take a look at GU real quick. Okay, this is GU. Let me go ahead and clean this up. Oops, Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. Let's go ahead and clean this up. Let's eliminate everything, remove all drawings. And this is what the weekly looks like. The weekly has been dropping. While GJ has been going up, GU has been going down. And the reasoning being, again, like I mentioned, we have interest rates have been raised. And so I've understood that that means that the dollar is going to get stronger, which is going to drive price down. It is at a critical spot here. It is at a very critical spot here. It already tested it once. Oops, this is support. It already tested it once. I believe it's coming back down to test it again. That will be my prognostication. Let's go to the daily. This is what the daily looks like. Okay, it's bouncing from there. So basically we have a nice consolidation going on. Let me go ahead and remove this, make it a little cleaner. Okay, yep, let's go do this. This is again the daily. All right, bounce. Okay, this is good. That's actually pretty good. Let's go to the 4 hour. I like this a lot. You can look at it from up here, okay, or make it a little tighter. This is obviously resistance, or make it a little tighter. I think if this continues to range for the rest of the day, which I believe it will continue to range for the rest of the day, then this is going to be a beautiful setup for next week. This is going to be very nice setup for next week, with price either exploding to the top after bouncing from this important zone, or breaking to the bottom and again being explosive to the bottom. So that's GBP USD. And let's finish with GBP with Euro AUD. This is a nice head and shoulder that's still active, I believe. Let's go and remove all drawings. Okay, let's go to the weekly. Take a look at what's happening. And similar, we do have a situation here. This is this should drop. This should drop. This should drop. It is right on the golden zone. Okay, so this is looking good. Actually, I also like this for next week, because my bias is going to be on the sell side of this. Let's go to the daily. It's showing rejections. Beautiful doji candle right there on the golden zone. Look at this rejection. This rejection is coming. Now, this rejection did not go as low as this one. So I'm not sure how much this is going to hold, how much longer this is going to hold, but it's certainly going to be an easy, I think it's going to be pretty easy setup to play. Let's go to the 4 hour. All right, the 4 hour is already setting up. I think this is going to be a nice also setup. Let's go ahead and look at this resistance over here. This prior resistance right here is likely to be support now. Okay, it may hold here. We'll see how it does or doesn't. If it breaks below, then you already know. If it breaks below, then we're going down. If it holds above, then it's going to depend on what it does when it reaches up here. But to me, this is a nice setup because we got strong, this should be a strong area of support. And then we have a very clear resistance right here. So again, it's setting up nicely for next week. I like it. I like it. Those are the three I'm going to do for today. I'm going to cut it short to keep this short and sweet and go into the weekend. I hope that you guys have a blessed weekend. Take time to back test and practice those zones that we've been talking about for the entire month. I'm going to be talking about it all year because I think that's the main emphasis that I need to drive to help you guys really take advantage of the setups and begin to create your own setups, which then you have confidence in taking. Okay. Again, this is Robert Rivera with Trend Trading Academy. God bless you. Bye-bye.